everybody. What's going on? Stephen Wicks here. You're watching BBLTV Money. This is the BBLTV Money Show. Today, we're joined by our guest host, Mr. Ron Garnett of Garnett and Associates. We're going to be talking all things finance and all things business. And he's got a great business blueprint that he put together for funding. And we're going to talk about that as well. So hold tight. We'll be right back. And you're watching BBLTV Money Show. We'll be right back. And we're back. We're with Mr. Ron Garnett. Mr. Garnett, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, Stephen. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Well, we've been away for a couple of weeks. For those of you who watch us on a regular basis, we usually go live on Wednesdays, so right around 12 o'clock. But for the last couple of weeks, there was the first week I had to go to Chicago and participate in the Retail X conference, and that was phenomenal. And then we just kind of skipped the next week. We had some things going on there as well, but now we're back. So just to let you know, my experience in Chicago was amazing. It's pretty cool. I got a chance to stay there at the Hyatt at McCormick Place. And the event was at McCormick Place, and it was a really nice event put together very well. And we had a great session with some folks about business and Black business owners and getting access to those large retailers in the retail space. So it was a pretty good experience. And so we stayed there for a few days, came back, made a lot of connections. And so that's kind of what we've been putting together is some of the things that came out of that is what we've been working on. So what have you been doing for the last couple of weeks?
Oh, well, I have, what I did, I put together this masterclass that where I try to sum up a lot of things that people need to do to get money. I tried to make it short, like it was the funding blueprint, the business funding blueprint. And what we tried to do was give people some basic ideas about some things we've talked about, something went a little more depth on some things. And basically what happens when you don't know something, if you have a blueprint or map, so to speak, people can look at basically and look at it, read it, and follow it so they can get to where they want to go. This was put for people who maybe didn't have a background in funding, who would think that, well, I went to the bank says no, I don't have anywhere else to go. And where people will go off on tangents and look in the wrong places for the money, places that you never get funding. But if you hear somebody getting funding in some of these places, it's on front page of the paper because it doesn't happen but once every 1,000, a million times. So
doesn't happen that often at all, huh?
So that's why it makes the news. I was having people define themselves, the difference between a small business and a micro enterprise, where to go for micro enterprise funding rather than small business funding. Also, don't get sucked into things where people promise you the world and can't deliver, such as a lot of people are making money saying, you build up your business credit, let your personal credit go. If you're a small one-person operation, that doesn't work. You have great business credit, but your personal credit is shot. You're not going to really get any funding. Now, business credit helps in some instances, in some it doesn't. And one thing that I have run across is that a lot of people have bought into urban myths, such as there are a lot of grants for Black people to start businesses and fund businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you know? You got a Black business list. You got thousands of members. Who do you know has gotten a grant to start a business or expand a business from the government for their business? I mean, it's out there, but you don't know anybody who's done it. So, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and she was saying that every Black person who she meets wants a grant, so they have to pay the money back.
Uh-huh.
And you're looking for grants that basically don't exist. In fact, I went on the SBA website yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and the SBA website gives you the categories of business grants that are out there for people. Basically, they fall in two categories. If you're doing research for some medical situations, like you're trying to find a cure for AIDS or COVID-19 or cancer, you can get a grant for that. Or if you're doing something highly technical, like such as you got a method for repairing satellites for NASA that have gone dead, you could fly some up there, attach it to them, and repair that. You might get a grant for that if you're in business. But basically, it's for technical services and for, people who are doing something in the medical field, medical research.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get a grant to open a boutique or a restaurant or a shoe store or anything else like that. And just think about it. Look at our political climate. Donald Trump ran for president. Do you think that if the government were giving money to Black people to start businesses, he would not have brought up during the campaign to say, look at what we're doing to help these people? If it were out there, don't you think that Republicans or conservatives, it'd be all over the newspapers and whatever, if they were really out there where Black people were getting grants to start businesses that white people weren't getting? Do you actually think that would go unnoticed? So again, I'm going to say is that if you're an African-American businessman or businesswoman or entrepreneur, you better look for money in the right places. You better look for money in place who people want to help you rather than somebody wants to either not see you succeed or give you enough money just to get you in trouble. They know they can't, that you can't succeed on that money, and trying to call the loan in if they do get out and sort a limb off you out there.
So I'm glad, you're talking about this. Of course, for those of you who have watched the show for the last, couple of months, you know that Mr. Ron has put together a program for specifically for our members of BlackBusinessList.com, and we've got a special link. It's bbl.cashtofund.net, and you can go there and fill out a very quick, easy form. I guess it's like a pre-form to get you started on this, and it's not a lot of requirements at all. It's very straightforward, very easy to fill out, and it does not. I repeat, it does not put a hit on your credit. So you're not applying for something that's going to affect your credit score. We're just getting some. They're just getting some information to get the process started for you. But Mr. Ron, in his experience with people filling out applications over the years, he's seen some common issues that come up when people try to get funding. And so his masterclass or his blueprint will allow you to understand what's standing in the way of me getting that money. And so we can on the front end attack a lot of things that when you actually fill out the loan application, you're much more likely to get approved. Is that correct?
Correct. What I did is in the class, I tried to address some of the things you should do before you actually apply for this money, so the funding process can go as smoothly as possible. I mean, it's much more difficult to get funding, which happens a lot, is where you apply for money and say, I want X amount of dollars. And we will say, okay, based on what you said, we can work with you. Show us your W-2. I don't have a W-2. How about your income tax? I haven't filed. I don't have income. I don't have any tax records. I don't have a checking account. Well, it's unsecured funding. You got 5 collections on there. We haven't paid people back. That is not a good candidate for funding. Now, it's unsecured funding. So if funders, these banks we work with, think just like you do. If you don't borrow money from Sam, Joe, Paul, and Mary, and you haven't paid back Sam, Joe, Paul, and Mary, and they come to you, Stephen said, lend me some money, you're going to say, well, what about Sam, Joe, Paul, and Mary? They all talking about you that you didn't stiff them on a loan. So why should I lend you money? So it's the same thing. So that what we discuss in the class is that, go and invest some money. I'm not talking about a lot of money, maybe $20 and $30, to find out what's on your credit, what's good and bad, and then work on getting it off or paying it off or getting it cleaned up. If there are mistakes made. And look at the time frame. If it's in the class, but we look at the time frame of if you pay off a collection, when is it going to show up in your credit report? How long you need to wait? And things such as that. You don't pay it off on Monday and on Tuesday you apply for the loan. It doesn't work that way. So, and one other thing that if you go to this link for a very nominal fee, less than $100, you can schedule a one-on-one conversation with me where we can talk about your individual credit issues or funding issues, and I can tell you what you need to do to get the money. Because remember what I do, there are no upfront fees. I mean, I don't say, well, you pay me $1,000, I guarantee you get the money. That doesn't work that way. I get paid money when you get funded because we charge a success fee. Banks call it origination cost, we call it a success fee. Same thing, different terminology. Where you pay a percentage of the loan to us. Unlike with a bank, you pay it ahead of time. With us, you pay it only after you get the money in your bank account and you've been approved. Then you pay us, the money. So we don't charge you any money up front. There are no prepayment penalties and things such as that. We don't run your credit. What we do, in fact, to make sure we don't run it, we have you set up a credit monitoring service, and you tell us what your credit is. So we don't run it, you run it, that's a soft pull.
That saves you from that hard credit pull. Yeah, I thought that was genius when when you mentioned it to me. I was like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And again, it kind of goes to what we were talking about earlier before we came on the air about empowering people. So instead of just showing up to say, hey, Mr. Ron, fix me up, I have no idea what my credit score is. I have no idea what's on my credit report, but I need some money. Fix me it really puts more control in the hands of the individual to say, this is your credit and this is your financial life. You need to know what your credit score is. You need to know what's out there being said about you on your credit report, and you need to address it as soon as possible, because your credit score affects almost everything today. Just getting an apartment, getting a house, a car, loans. I mean, everything.
Everything. It does. And you'll be surprised how much inaccurate information there is on credit reports. Stephen Wicks is not a super uncommon name. You might have 3 or 4 things on a credit report from another Stephen Wicks. That's what you got to look at. I've had clients who had the same name and it was a different birth date.
Different. Oh, yeah.
So, and it was $1,000 of medical bills that were not there. Now, so you got to take care of that. And collections. I mean, you have to have a situation where you know if somebody's saying you owe them money. Happens a lot with people. You go into the hospital. You get seen here, different people. You have insurance. Some of those people don't get paid all the money by insurance. You go home. You think insurance taking care of it, but you might have a collection bill that you don't even know about, a bill that you don't know about, or you overlook for $100 here, $200 here, $300 here, $400 here. Those are collections on your credit that you maybe not know about, and you have you can take care of very easily, but you have to get them removed. You got to get them removed, because what we talk about in the master class is that paying off a bad debt doesn't help you. I mean, you got to negotiate with these people. It doesn't help you to pay off a bad debt. And if you have a bad debt, we can talk about, if you want to sign up for the one-on-one conversation, we'll talk what you need to say to these people. I mean, why are you going to pay somebody the money and they're still going to run your credit too? I mean, you better. So before you pay me the money, I need to know what I'm going to get out of it.
Yes, it's got to be some benefit in that.
Right.
Wow. Well, guys, hold on. We're going to be right back. We're going to play this quick commercial here, and it's actually talking about Mr. Ron's masterclass. We're going to take a break here for a couple of seconds, and we'll be right back. But if you want to learn more about how you can improve your credit with Mr. Ron Garnett, take a look at this. We'll be right back.
Business funding expert Ron Garnett's latest masterclass? He delivered a session on the business funding blueprint, how to gain access to capital. There were a ton of details covered in the session, which includes the blueprint to funding that will save you time, money, and energy, everything you need to know about personal credit, details that funding sources are looking for, the key differences between business and personal credit, and key details that you need on your funding application. Ron has opened his calendar for limited strategy call slots for entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals to gain insight on funding and access to capital. To book your session while slots are still available, please visit his website.
Mr. Ron, you clean up well.
Well, thank you.
I like how you look at that suit there, dear brother.
Off camera, I'll tell you a story behind that. about how that, okay. about how those pictures were taken.
Okay.
I'll tell you off camera. But what I want to say is that if you go to the link that we have about the funding link, the BBLCashToFund.net, we don't just tell anybody no. We will always give you a blueprint on what you have to do to become eligible for funding.
Okay.
if you know that you go to a bank and you get turned down, what you do is you get a letter in the mail telling you all about all the credit reporting rights you have and blah blah blah. It's all gobbledygook, but no, it's still no. So what we do is we say, well, you need to do some specific things to get ready for funding. Specific things. I mean, you didn't get it because of this on your credit report. I have 2 clients now that I'm saying, well, no, you don't apply right now. We got to wait till the end of this month, really, to try and look into trying to get you some funding, because you got to do 3 or 4 things so that your application will be reconsidered or looked at again. I said, do a whole new application. Don't even try and piggyback on a bad one. Let's do a whole new one and start over. And one thing I don't really push that much, but the company that I've worked with, CashToFund.net, does have a credit restoration program that I can give people information on how to get into that. And it's a little bit different because what I was told when I asked about it is that it's not a credit repair program, company, so to speak. What they are, they're a money lending company. They make money off lending money. So what they want to do is try and get you to a position where they can do the loan for you. The way it works is you're person A, you don't qualify. They got this loan out here, they want to give to person A. They'll work with person A until they qualify for the loan they want to give them. They make the money off the loan, not off the credit repair, because the credit repair money is very minimal, very, very minimal. Now, credit repair or restoration is not an easy process, because you got to take a bite of a bath, some bitter pills. You got to do some things you don't want to do. But if you go ahead and do it, you will qualify for the money, because the funder is helping you qualify for the money they want to lend you, which is a completely different situation, where someone has said, well, we're going to work with you for a period of 18 to 24 months to build your credit up. We're not trying to do that. We're trying to build your credit up and get you qualified for the period of maybe 2 or 3 months. So we can do the loan for you in 2 or 3 months, because it would not, our incentive is to do the loan, not to build your credit up. So, so that's a program that if you absolutely can't get the money right now, we want to try and get you into.
I told you a few weeks back that I was thinking about maybe putting together some programming where we partner with people who offer franchises and try to come up with a program where we get people into franchises. And there's this one that I think is very interesting. It's Steak and Shake. Have you heard of restaurant Steak and Shake?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so Steak and Shake franchising, for example, they've got a very unique program where the total investment, I don't know if you can see that right here, is $10,000. So for $10,000 investment, you can have a Steak and Shake franchise, and they have the steps that you need to take to actually get this franchise. But that's doable.
Yes, it is.
That's very doable. And what it is, it's almost like the Chick-fil-A model, where you're going to share in the profits with the corporation. Okay. But again, I would rather get a good percentage off of like a high performing restaurant than not. And so you can earn 50% of the restaurant profits, and there's unlimited income potential. So if you are a person who maybe is a manager of a fast food establishment, and you're thinking about, hey, I want to actually become an owner, this Steak and Shake for $10,000, and Mr. Ron's got loans for $10,000, right?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, so a person could be in business.
And again, we have loans for $10,000 for people with poor credit, like below 600.
Yeah.
And basically what you need is we'll go into it, in more detail in the in the master class, but we'll tell you what you need. I mean, and they're pretty simple, and you could get those in place within a period of 2 or 3 months to get the money. And it's unsecured money. Now, what I would personally say is that if you get the franchise for $10,000, I would apply for more than $10,000 loan. I'd try and get at least 30 or 40,000, pay them 10, and just have a cushion 30 in my pocket just in case something pops up. But a lot of these companies will have low cost entry level into the to the franchises, so you can you can be your own boss. Really, I mean, you got to follow that corporate market, but you own that franchise.
Sure.
Now
you're a very highly paid manager. In that model. I mean, for essentially, I wouldn't say you can do what you want to do, but you're getting 50. That's a significant share of the profits. So you're highly incentivized to run a successful business.
Yes, and a number of people in the franchise business, you have high requirements, and a number of people do things that I consider very, I'm not saying unwise, but dangerous. A lot of people who are going to franchises end up, using their 401k, all their retirement money, to go into a franchise. If the business falters, then you kind of looking, well, I don't have any retirement money left. I've lost all of this. It's easier, in my opinion, to borrow unsecured money and lose my retirement benefits, and more at risk. And you don't type your assets either, because you still have equity in anything else you have out there in case you need to get more money. You got in your house and whatever, 401k, stocks and bonds, whatever. Essentially, but unsecured funding, a signature loan, is something that people don't really do anymore. Banks don't really do anymore since after 2008. They kind of did away with those kinds of signature loans because they want collateral for everything now. But the opportunities are there. And there are a lot of different franchises out there. I don't know if it's still in the available, but I know I was teaching a class. I got into this by teaching a class. I was actually teaching a class to a bunch of ex-offenders who were in a halfway house. And they were contacted by, guess who? Chick-fil-A.
Really?
About doing a franchise. And now this was many years ago.
Yeah.
And Chick-fil-A told them, if you put a franchise in a urban area where we don't really exist, you get a franchise for $5,000, and we'll finance it for you.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's big.
And my students told me about it because Chick-fil-A reached out to them as ex-offenders because they were in a halfway house and they're going to be released soon. And they were thinking about it. I don't know if I actually followed through on it, but I know Chick-fil-A made that offer because I saw the offer that it was like a $5,000. You get the franchise, but they want you to put in an urban area where they didn't really have a footprint to to expand their reach and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea for a franchise. I mean, you just have to know what you're getting into, and you got to work like a dog now. You got to put now because I have known people who bought franchises, and when you buy a franchise, I was at a meeting one time, a program where a franchise owner bought a Burger King franchise.
Okay.
And he was talking about how he thought he was going to just be the boss of a Burger King. And when he started, they had him cooking French fries and cleaning toilets and doing the bathrooms and stuff like that. Because if you're a franchise owner, you have to know how to do everything in their franchise, from making sure the bathrooms are clean, the grease traps are clean, how to do the fries, the burgers, the fish sandwiches, the shakes, the Cokes, everything, so that you can teach your employees how to do them because you know how to do it. But he said it took him a lot. It took him a long time to get in the manager's office because he was like there cooking fries. So,
he had to put in some time on a thing first.
So so they had a manager from the franchise there actually doing the management. He had bought the franchise. He was just a worker, mopping the floors, cleaning the grease traps, cleaning the grills and whatever, which made him more successful because he didn't know how to do anything. And one thing I tell people, if you own a business, there's nothing beneath you. In that business. There's nothing beneath you in that business. So a lot of people have borrowed money and lost it because they thought they were too good to make sure that things were done right. If you walk into a restaurant and the bathrooms are dirty and nasty, you're gonna think the food is dirty and nasty.
Yeah.
So you might want to come back there. So yes, if you're the business owner, you really should. Those bathrooms are spick and span. They're pristine. And you have to, ensure that if you're going to do it yourself after work, you better do it yourself. So if you can't afford to have anybody do it, but anytime you have a franchise or any kind of business, you're going to work like a dog. I mean, you're really going to have to put your time into it. Now, the only thing that I can do is we can get you the money. If you work with us to get the franchise. After that, you got to put your nose to the grindstone and do the unpleasant things, because everybody has some unpleasant things in their business that you got to learn how to do. I don't enjoy reading credit reports or going over credit repair. I mean, it's not something, but it's something I got to do, because my job is to get you qualified for the money. I mean, so I tell people, no, you got to do your taxes. Now you got to pay off this bill, and you got to get your records in order. I got to make sure that you got to have a trade line. What's a trade line? That could be a credit card, or go to one of those loan people and get a $400, $500 loan and pay them back over a period of time. Don't pay it off, because they look at paying things over a period of time. That boosts your credit rather than paying something off. I learned that, the hard way. And so Because people say my credit score hadn't changed. I say you're paying everything off every month. So
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't help your credit that much. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really show up.
Yeah.
So, and these are things that we'll talk about if you want to call in. So my job is to get you the money. My job is to get you the money. Because when you get the money, that's how I get paid. I don't get paid anything from getting an application rejected. That's just dead time for me. That's just time I put in and struck out.
Well, guys, I think we're coming near a close. I want to thank Mr. Ron for giving us all this great information and
Okay.
making it available, even in the blueprint that he put together. Again, you can get access to that by clicking the link up. I put it in the description of
Okay.
this post. And if you're a BBL member, you'll get an email with a special invitation in there as well for you to go ahead and register for this. What is it? What is it called? Is it a class? Is it what are you calling it? The blueprint.
It's a class. It's a lecture. It's a class.
Okay.
That where I talk about certain things and give you certain strategies and ideas as to how to get money. And the strategy call is where it's a one-on-one conversation with me, where you will schedule it. We'll just sit down and talk about your specific business idea. If you're a startup, if you are in business, how you can get the money, and and how you can use what I know to help you be successful.
So the strategy call is like when you sit down with them and just give them their own personal roadmap. Like this is your personal plan to get the money.
That's true. Their own personal plan, individualized plan, so they can get the money.
Amen. Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Ron, we appreciate you. We appreciate all that you do.
Okay.
And we're you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and say that for next week, I want to get maybe somebody that represents. Matter of fact, there's an African American right here in the Atlanta area who's looking for people to franchise his business. He has a few successful franchisees, right? Is that it? Franchisees? Yeah, he has a few successful franchisees
yes.
Right now. And so he's looking for more. And so I'm not sure what his requirements are, but I'll reach out to him. Maybe he can come on the show and we can kind of, partner what you do, with what he does.
Okay.
So
happy to.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching the BBL TV Money Show. Until next week, we'll see you. Mr. Ron, we'll see you next week.
Next week. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.
Business funding expert Ron Garnett's latest masterclass. He delivered a session on the business funding blueprint, how to gain access to capital. There were a ton of details covered in the session, which includes the blueprint to funding that will save you time, money, and energy. Everything you need to know about personal credit. Details that funding sources are looking for. The key differences between business and personal credit. And key details that you need on your funding application. Ron has opened his calendar for limited strategy call slots for entrepreneurs, investors, and professionals to gain insight on funding and access to capital. To book your session while slots are still available, please visit his website.